Hi guys, welcome again to Fit Rich Sane. All of you want to be healthy, wealthy, and wise. I'm Aditya, and I bring to you people who are true experts on the topics that we love. You can listen to them and you can ask them your questions right here if you're listening to this live. To find out about the next live episode in advance, you can follow me on Twitter and on Telegram at Fit Rich Sane. As a community, we truly believe in taking action and learning. We will simplify processes for you, bringing them down to small, actionable steps that you can take today. So, today's guest, Manish Ahuja, addresses simply the most important aspect of money and finances. We have often discussed on our community that I firmly believe that how much you earn and how much you accumulate as your net worth are direct functions of your money mindset than anything else. By the end of this podcast, by the end of this roughly 1 hour long session, you will learn how to remove these financial mind blocks and how to create a mindset that allows you to earn more. It's not just about the skills, it's also about the mindset. Now, Manish has been a student of finance right from the days of his undergrad. He has worked in a risk consulting firm and he also has a master's in financial management. So, anyway, thank you so much for joining in and for making these live podcasts fun and useful for everyone. Without further ado, Manish, let's learn from you. Let's start with the basics, Manish. Uh, we keep saying that we need to be financially literate. Now, in general, somebody who can read and write is considered literate. Now, what would be your criteria to call somebody financially literate? What is the least you think everybody should know about their financial planning?
Okay. First of all, thank you so much, Aditya, for this opportunity. And more importantly, the community of Fit Rich Sane. You guys have no idea how lucky you are for Aditya to take this initiative because the way this person has followed up with me, the way he cares about this community, and the way he's passionate about his podcast is inspiring for me. So I have completely become a fan of Aditya ever since I've interacted with him. And you've asked a brilliant question, Aditya. So the good part is that it's not very difficult to be financially literate if you just know what exactly is your monthly expense. That's the first step that can take you towards your financial literacy. Because let's say I always talk in very simple terms. I talk in $100, 1,000 rupees, which is easy for people to understand. Correct? So let's say if your monthly expenses are $1,000, so you know your annual expenses would be about $12,000. If you can accumulate 25 to 30 times of that money, you would be financially free. But to be financially free, the first step would be to understand how much money do you have in your net worth or in your bank account, how much money do you need, and how do you fill the gap. That's financial literacy in simplest of the terms.
Oh, that's a fantastic way to put it, Manish, because you put it so simply. All we need is did I get this correct? 30 times your annual expenses. Is that correct?
Yes, 30 times your annual expense would make it a very comfortable, cushioned portfolio. Obviously, then you can keep adding to it. But if you have that sort of money well parked, getting you income from that portfolio, you are sorted. You're pretty much sorted.
So Manish, just to tell you, the previous session that we had right before this one, the main topic of that was financial independence and retire early, and knowledge compounds. So this is something very similar that we learned there also, and
Hmm.
I think you're absolutely correct when you say that 30x will give you a good cushion, especially if
Correct.
you want to retire early. And of course, you should, if you have some passion, you can always keep working. But more than
Exactly.
that, thank you so much for your warm words about the community and me. And to everybody listening, I told you Manish is such a positive person. You will have a wonderful next 1 hour. So Manish, coming more importantly to the mindset part, we have grown up with stories about on the internet about people who won lotteries or got a huge inheritance. But while they got that money, they were not able to keep it to themselves. Most lottery winners and people who inherited money ended up being poor again. And this is something I've seen in my life also. Honestly, people who uh, got huge inheritances but then ended up in huge debt again. So, what is the mindset do you think that is required apart from the literacy part,
Hmm.
which from which we can break these barriers and we can actually start earning more and start retaining money that we get.
Okay. So let's look at a very simple example. Does it matter which car do you own? If I give you a small hatchback that could cost you a couple of lakhs of rupees, or if I get you the biggest supercar in the world, which will cost you a couple of crores of rupees, will that change the way you drive your car?
Not really. It will still take me from A to B, at least for me.
Correct. So money is exactly like that. Money is a vehicle, a tool that takes you ahead in your life. And if you know how to use that money well, you are going to sustain it, you are going to use it, you are going to help it to protect your financial and materialistic needs. But if you are absolutely clueless on how to use that tool, it's like owning a Ferrari but driving it like a mad person, and you'll just dash it into every wall and every roadblock that you find. So, similarly, what happens is people, when they get the money that they did not earn or they were not trained to take care of, they will not know how to use it. They will end up expanding their lifestyle in such a manner wherein the lifestyle change is not sustainable over the long term, and as a result of which they'll end up spending it all.
Makes sense. So, but then, Manish, how do we change our mindset? Because I do agree that most of us have been brought up with some kinds of roadblocks.
Yeah. So if I understood you correct, if I understood your question well, you want me to elaborate on how do you change your mindset, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. So taking the same car example ahead, to learn how to drive a supercar, you would have to learn how to manage the car. And similarly, money being a tool, you would have to understand how do you maximize the value that you can derive out of money. So you would have to learn how to park it well. How do you invest it correctly? How do you take the right steps? How do you ensure that the money is being utilized in a good manner? So I'll give you a simple example. When you are starting out, or whenever, for that matter of fact, when you're investing, most people try to look at profit maximization as one of the key tools through which they can enhance their wealth. However, the first thing that everybody must check is wealth preservation. If you end up investing in a bad investment or an opportunity like a penny stock or a Ponzi scheme, you may only end up focusing on the wealth maximization or the kind of returns that you can get, which may or may not happen because you're putting your money at risk. But the first thing, if you do, even if you inherit wealth or if you end up winning a big contest which gives you a lot of money, the first focus should always be wealth preservation. And then you start taking a few coins out of that treasure chest. That should be the mindset.
Thanks for giving us such simple examples to explain the concept. The car example really struck with me that even if you learn how to drive a car, most of us know how to drive a car. But if we are given a Ferrari or a Lamborghini today, we'll probably just smash it into a wall. And there have, in fact, been recent news articles where this has literally happened to people with the car. Now, Manish, the definition of financial literacy we discussed, I'm fairly hopeful that people who have been with me or with you for a long time would already know that. But then, how do we remove the mind blocks that we have? A few of the mind blocks that I personally grew up with, and some of them have been removed by me, some I'm sure are still there. And of course, there would be some mind blocks that I won't even know are there. So I don't know how I will remove them. So some that I've been able to remove are that um, we grew up with hearing sentences like कि वो एक गेम खेलने का इतना क्यों कमा रहा है या वो एक मूवी का इतना क्यों कमा रहा है or you need to really grind to make money and money comes only with evil. It's evil to try to earn a lot of money. So if somebody has grown up with these mindsets in their childhood, how do we remove this? I'm sure this is the case with so many people.
As much as I understand, that's the case with almost everybody. And I'll be honest, I have discovered about 24 major money blocks. So I don't look at these as mind blocks, I look at these as money blocks. Because when you have a mind block, you're just blocking some sort of energy entering into your life. But when you have a money block, that energy is being blocked in way of finances, wealth, money, abundance, profit, and so much more. So that is why I look at it from a very logical perspective and I call it a money block. And I have personally managed to identify 24 major money blocks. And for every money block, what you need to do is you need to understand where is that money block coming from. So when you say, why is this actor earning so much wealth out of doing just one movie for which he must have worked a couple of weeks or months? Or why is a sports person earning so much money for playing a match which will last just a couple of hours? So let's take a sports person's example. A person who is playing at an international level is probably 0.00% of all the cricketers or all the sports people in the world. That person has to go through rigorous amount of training, rigorous amount of practice, rigorous amount of net practice, playing the local leagues, the Ranji leagues, or many other selection leagues. Even after getting into the team selection, they have to sit on the bench or as the 12th or the 13th or the 15th man. Then they have to keep proving themselves. And after years of having that discipline, after having years of consistency, when they actually play a match where they have shown their true potential, that person genuinely deserves all the wealth that they can get out of playing that match. One more thing which is very important, which people tend to forget: actors, sports people, these people come with a very, very, very risky career because their retirement is one bad film away. Their retirement is one major injury away. So, higher the risk, higher the reward. Higher the potential, higher the reward. Higher the amount of work and sweat and blood that you've put in for so many years, higher the reward.
I think that's a typical case of becoming an overnight success after 20 years of hard work. We
Exactly.
we just see that one match where that player scored a century, but the years and years where would he would have practiced for 8-10 hours in the scorching sun, we completely tend to ignore that. And
Correct.
one thing, Manish, I would like to add here is, I think you will also agree with this, that ultimately it's all about demand and supply. If
Yes.
there is enough demand for watching the cricket match, that is bringing in revenue for somebody who will pay somebody else to play those cricket matches. As simple as that. If we can do
Exactly.
something that has very high demand and a limited supply, we'll eventually be able to earn as much.
Exactly. And I would also like to add one more very, very, very important point, which is very easily missed by most people, is when that demand is so high, so is the pressure. Standing on the field, standing on that pitch, looking at thousands of people roaring, and they are either on your side or they are heckling you. And they want you to either play their best, your best, or they want you to get out on the next ball. That is so much pressure. That is so much to go through in that one match. Dealing with those emotions in itself makes you the top of your league. Now, to handle that pressure, to put that talent, to learn how to tackle that ball, to keep playing consistently for 10 overs, 20 overs, 50 overs, depending on the match, that is what makes a complete package. That's just in the case of a sports person. Look at it in case of a writer who has to put in so much work to finish writing that book. In case of a musician who has to come up with a beautiful melody and keep singing it in front of thousands of people in a concert, so on and so forth.
And Manish, when we think about it, we find ourselves getting nervous when we have to give one presentation in front of one boss and like three colleagues.
Exactly. Yeah.
So multiply that by a few thousand, and we'll probably have that. So Manish, a few minutes back, I talked about how I read several stories on the internet about people earning money, I mean, getting money and still not ending up very rich. On the other hand, the 90s were also full of posts about habits of the rich and things that only rich people know, and do these things if you want to be rich. And you also mentioned some 24 money blocks that you have identified. Could you share with us a few things that you think, uh, and speaking like the 90s, that only the rich people know and do?
I frankly believe that there is no secret that a rich person knows. which you don't have access to, especially in 2023 when all information is literally a click away. I believe the best university or the best source of knowledge today is YouTube or books. If you don't like reading, I would still insist that you try to get into the habit of reading. But if you just absolutely don't want to get into reading, or you want to keep gaining knowledge while you build the habit of reading, I would tell you to go on YouTube and you'll get answers to any question under the sun. So there are no secrets. First of all, I want people to go with that mindset. There are no secrets. The second thing that actually is common among all rich, all wealthy, all affluent people who have earned their money, not who have inherited their money, the only common factor is that they are solving a problem. They come with a super speciality. They are consistent at solving that problem again and again for a much larger crowd, and they are the best at that particular task. So, everybody, of all the people who are listening to this live or listening to this recording, find something that you are really good at or you would want to get good at. You are interested in something, solve a problem for a very specific crowd or a target audience, and just keep multiplying that solution for as many people as possible. And there is no way you will not achieve success. That's the
I
only
agree.
secret of the
I
rich.
believe it's as simple as that. Solve a problem, scale it, and the people will come to pay you themselves. Ultimately,
Correct.
people will pay for problems that you will solve for them. It's as simple as that. And
Yes.
you mentioned reading and YouTube. Just one difference I would like to identify between the two. The
Mm-hmm.
problem that comes with YouTube is that the information is a little more scattered.
Mm-hmm.
However, when you come to reading, when an author writes a book, they will try to really structure the content in a simple way and to give
Mm-hmm.
you comprehensive knowledge about a topic. So I
Absolutely.
think both things have their own place. The only thing
Mm-hmm.
is YouTube can very easily become a rabbit hole down which you keep going and going without really taking a lot of value. But then,
Couldn't
of course,
agree
both
more.
things have their own place, and I think you need to do both to really become a learning machine.
Couldn't agree more. Actually, when you put it that way, I am looking at it. I get most of my knowledge through books. And because I already have a lot of perspective, when I'm looking for a capsule of information, I just end up going to YouTube, and that is why it helps me. But now, when I'm looking at it from the perspective that you are sharing, if I don't have some perspective, if I don't have a direction, if I just go to YouTube as a blind horse, I could go in any direction, and for all I know, I would end up in a rabbit hole, as you mentioned. So, yeah, I completely second that thought.
On that note, I would like to tell everyone that I'm not saying this because Manish is here. This is something I've told other people also, and this is something I've mentioned to Manish also. That Manish's YouTube channel, which is called Paycheck to Profit, is honestly among the best structured ones I have seen. If anyone with no knowledge at all is to start with the first video Manish posted a few years back and to go on, and he is to go on watching till the current one, they will have learned practically everything is to be learned about personal finance and about the money mindset. Do try it. I will share the link with you.
Thank you so
Uh,
much, Aditya. I really respect that. And I you just leave me with no words whenever you say things like these. Thank you so much.
it's absolutely true, Manish. Now, coming to the next question, we talked about people who inherit money and we talked about people who earn money. Now, something that I've seen with my friends is that people who did not grow up in the best of financially stable households, but they are into very good salaries now. They are the biggest victims of lifestyle inflation. They find it very hard, and of course, I'm generalizing here. There will definitely be exceptions, but in general, I've seen that they find it extremely hard to differentiate between what they need and what they are buying out of societal pressure and what they are buying just because they could not afford it 30 years back. So, could you give us some tips on how we can manage our finances and our mindset in situations where we want to buy stuff and we are not sure if we really need it, or maybe our minds are telling us that we do need it, but it seems like a luxury item?
Hmm. So there is a very practical way of looking at it, and then there is a responsible way of looking at it. Can I have your permission to talk about both the ways?
Absolutely. Please take your time. The floor is all yours.
Thank you. So the practical way of looking at it is I will tell you whatever I feel like, I will tell you everything that is in my mind. I will give you the right answer, and yet you will not adapt to it unless and until you make a decision to be financially responsible. I have a simple rule which if you apply to your mind, you will never buy anything that you can't afford. And the rule is if you can't buy five of those, you can't afford one of those. As simple as that. If you can buy five, let's say five phones of your choice, five laptops of your choice, entirely in cash on the spot. Let's say if your laptop is worth 1.5 lakh rupees, if you multiply it by five, what would that come to? 7.5 lakh rupees. If you do
Yes.
not have 7.5 lakh rupees in your bank account at the moment, you cannot buy one laptop which is worth 1.5 lakhs. Now, that is a very generic and a practical point of view. Okay.
That's a very strong statement.
Yeah, as I told you, that's the practical way of looking at it. But let me
Right.
give you a theoretical way of how you can build that discipline is to, first of all, you would have to want to become financially disciplined. And if you choose to go down that path, you will have to understand that you will have to make decisions which are responsible. Now, responsible decisions may seem like sacrifices at some point of time, but they're not really sacrifices. They are actually decisions which will take you ahead. So, the way I talk to my community and my participants to be financially responsible is to budget every expense. Now, how do you do that? Of your salary, all your expenses that happen from your day to day expense or your household expense or your leisure expense, they should not be more than 20% of your monthly salary. Now, you have to take care of your taxes, you have to take care of your investments, you have to take care of your donations or contributions, you have to take care of your household expenses. I agree to all of that. Whatever you spend on your debit card or your credit card, whatever you can spend on a retail counter or on your e-commerce website, it should not be more than 20% of your monthly salary. If you manage that, if you make that your thumb rule in your mind, you will probably never make an irresponsible expense. Now, that's the theory way of looking at it. But as I told you, until you don't make up your mind to be financially responsible, you're not going to be able to implement it.
See, this is very true. I have always told everybody I have met that you can take all the knowledge, all the gyan, but ultimately you have to make up your mind. So, Manish, I'll give you a small anecdote. Around 10 odd years back, I was slightly deeply into social service. So, we
Mm-hmm.
happened to visit a drug rehabilitation center.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were just talking to various people. There was no real agenda there. We were just trying to see what we can do for them. And so one of the guys who had practically recovered and was just about to come back into normal civilization, he said something very powerful that his mother, his wife, his kids had been telling him to quit for the last many years. But ultimately, it has to strike you from within yourself. It was like the moment it struck me that it's actually bad for me, I quit that single day. I quit to cold turkey. All the techniques and all the ways that people were telling me to quit were of no use. Ultimately, nobody can tell you to do something. It has to strike you from within. And as you said, the moment you decide that you will be financially responsible for your own finances, you will be able to implement these rules. So you need to know these rules also, and you need to have the mindset where you will be able to implement them.
Yes, it's a very powerful thing that you've shared, Aditya. I have been in the world of personal growth for the last 5, 6 years now, and I have understood one simple thing. Unless and until you don't have a very strong emotional reason, you are going to keep relapsing again and again. So, if you want to be financially responsible, find that emotional reason. Why do you want to be financially responsible? Why do you want you and your family and your loved ones to be financially independent? You've probably had a very rough childhood. Maybe you have lived your entire life in scarcity. Maybe you did not get access to the kind of material wealth or the kind of aspirational things that your classmates had. They had a better lifestyle and you just wanted to chase that. All of those things are beautiful. All of those things you must experience in abundance. But it has to happen with some responsibility so that you just don't experience it. You also experience it with sustenance. You also experience it with unlimited number of iterations whenever you feel like. And you need to do it because it brings joy and happiness to you, not out of any sort of societal pressure. So, yeah.
So Manish, this is something we discussed on another session we had with a rather prominent life coach, Anupika Jain. So we had that session on the concept of ikigai. So, for people who are not aware, ikigai is a Japanese concept, which means, which is the reason for which you wake up every morning. So yes, you do need that why. We had an entire 1 hour session on it, and at least I came out with a lot of clarity on why you need a why and how you can find that why. So yes, as you said, until and unless you have that you have that strong emotional pull towards that thing, it will be very difficult with just logic. Logic doesn't really take us there; emotions do. Now, Manish, there's one thing I noticed where you differ from most other people who talk about finance. Now, if we go to YouTube or Twitter or Instagram, most people and most influencers keep saying that the only way to become rich is to start a business, is to take part in equity. But your company is called paycheck to profit, which essentially means that somebody is in a job getting a salary, a paycheck, and still they can be hugely profitable in their lives. So, do you really truly believe that somebody can work a job their entire lives and still become truly wealthy? How can they do that?
Yes, I absolutely believe that anybody who's earning a paycheck can get financially free. And I would not like to say any other influencer or content creator is lying to you. They have a different outlook towards financial freedom. Now, as I mentioned right at the start of the episode, if your monthly expenses is, let's say, $1,000, your annual expenses is $12,000 every year, and if you have 25 to 30 times of that amount in your portfolio, you are financially free. Imagine that today, if there are how many people right now? I'm seeing about 30 people who are online and who are listening to this live. Everybody would have a different monthly expense range. Somebody would be managing the entire household at as little as 25, 30,000 per month, and there would be somebody whose monthly expenses could be 5 lakh rupees per month. So now what happens is, depending on your lifestyle, depending on the kind of lifestyle you want to live and the kind of aspirations you have, you don't necessarily need a portfolio which will run into 100 200 crores for you to feel financially free, right?
Of course.
The way I would look at it, somebody who is among the top 1% of the country financially, if they lose about 100 crores from their net worth, they will not even feel a pinch. Obviously, they'll feel sad because 100 crores is a lot of money. But in the bigger scheme of things, it will not even pinch them or bother them because they'll make that sort of money in yet another week, maybe a month, who knows, maybe even a day. But at the same time, there would be 99% people who may not even ever create a net worth of 100 crores. What you need to understand is what is your financial freedom number. You need to understand how far are you from that finishing line. How will you achieve that finishing line? And if you have the right mindset, if you have the right um, way of investing and growing your wealth, in a couple of years, anywhere between 5 to 10 years, you can be financially free and you don't need to leave your job. Keep upskilling, keep getting your promotions, keep getting bigger and better jobs, keep increasing your paycheck every month, every year. Do it systematically, and you will absolutely achieve financial freedom.
I see, honestly, I am with you on this. I do not believe that there is any one particular path that anybody can take for anything, be it finances, be it for that matter, fitness, or be it mental peace. There is no single path that everybody can take, and there's no single path that everybody can criticize. Something might work for you, something might work for me. And maybe that is why it is called personal finance. So, Manish,
Precisely.
I'm going to get slightly personal here. I hope you don't
Mhm.
mind. So, guys who are listening, just imagine that the first business that you start with passion falls, it fails entirely. Then, due to circumstances, you separate from your spouse. Now, imagine the heartbreak and the depression that you would feel in either of these circumstances. Now, Manish had to experience both of these simultaneously. But thankfully for us, he did not give up and he did not let negativity take over. He, at this point, introduced himself to the world of personal development. And it was while going through this journey where he was trying to conquer his own devils that he discovered the impact that this flawed money mindset has on various aspects of his life and on everybody else's lives as well. And since that day, he has been on a mission to help people build a good relationship, a strong relationship with money, and to achieve financial freedom by taking control of their investments and their minds. Now, what I found out while reading about you, Manish, is that you are at this point you also became a practitioner as well as promoter of the law of attraction. Now, for some of us claim that it works very well, and some of us feel that it doesn't work at all. So, why do you think it doesn't work for many, and why do you think it worked for you? And how can we make it work for ourselves?
Okay. Can I be brutally honest here?
And that is the entire point of this session.
Perfect. In that case, I can tell you very honestly, there is nobody for whom law of attraction cannot work. So the
Wow.
reason why people fail at manifesting anything is because they why is it that most people can't make a profit by investing in stocks? Because they don't go through the correct means, modes, methods. They end up taking tips from internet, or they end up reading one random research report which comes to their WhatsApp or Telegram. They put some money into it, they lose that money, and then they just say stock markets don't work. Law of attraction is exactly like that. Law of attraction is actually a way of living your life, the way you look at your mindset, the way you connect with the subconscious, the way you understand how the universe works, positive mindset. The moment you say law of attraction does not work, that in itself tells me that you have facing so much resistance, you're facing a mental block to even understand what it takes to make law of attraction work. It's a study, it's a practice, and it's a way of life. Unless and until you don't get into the depths of it, you are not going to understand all the aspects that can help you manifest your dreams, your wants, your desires, your absolute deepest wishes. If you want something really, really deep, it will work provided you use the right mechanism
Okay, so you're confident that it works for everyone. It's just that we'd have to truly believe in it. Is that correct?
and practice it and execute whatever is needed to be executed when you practice it.
So Manish, when I started investing and when I look at my financial life, one of the things that have driven me is to, at the end of the day, I am not sure if it will happen tomorrow or 10 years down the line, but at the end of the day, I want to achieve a passive income. That's my ultimate aim,
Mhm.
where it might or might not be good enough to completely sustain my lifestyle throughout my life. I might still have to earn, but at least that will not be with the aim of bringing bread to the table. Now,
Mhm.
your company Paycheck to Profit helps people improve their relationship with money,
Mhm.
right? So, everybody listening, Manish and Paycheck to Profit are on a mission to support everybody who wants to join them towards a life without fear of financial instability. That's the biggest thing. You should not be fearful that tomorrow your financial life can be disrupted by a single, let's say, a big emergency health bill or a job loss for that matter. And the way they work on this is by minimizing the fear associated with financial planning and investing. Many people either find it overwhelming or maybe not very useful. Now, as I have said like half an hour back, Manish, one of the biggest limiting beliefs that we are fed since our childhood is that we must work hard, we must sacrifice sleep. According to recent trends, we must work 70 hours a week, we must uh, give up our social lives to be able to earn well. On the other hand, there is this constant talk about passive income. So, do you think a normal middle class person who does not have a lot of inheritance can still achieve passive income through their lives?
Since we have already established that I'm only giving brutally truthful answers, a normal middle class person will not achieve financial freedom. a passionate, dedicated person who really wants to break through their existing financial circumstances, when they work on it, will definitely achieve their financial freedom without necessarily having to work for 70 hours a week.
So from here, you are distinguishing between a normal middle class person and an extraordinary middle class person, not on the basis of their income or net worth today, but on the basis maybe of their smart work and mindset. Is that correct?
Yes, their smart work, their mindset, and their dedication. See, we have become so uh, overfed with motivational content on internet now. We feel that you either have to be extraordinary or you're ordinary. There is no middle ground. You don't have to be extraordinary. You just have to be an ordinary person who's really dedicated, putting in the job, putting in the hard work, putting in the dedication, staying consistent. And why will things not work? But we have been overfed with so much motivational content that we tend to label people either only as average or above average or exceptional. The whole concept is that even if you are an average Joe, first of all, the best way to get out of that average mediocrity of life is to find something that you're good at and stay consistent on what you are doing. When Fit Rich Sane community started, it did not start with 3,100 people right from day one, right? You've been doing this podcast every week or every 15 days. You've been doing everything in your capacity to find new guests, get them on the platform, talk to them, learn from them, impart your knowledge to the community, post the episode, edit the episode, post it on Spotify so that most people can reach out to it, right? So
Absolutely.
if you have been putting in the effort, it is reflecting in a bigger community of 3.1k subscribers. Similarly, when more and more people end up putting in their work consistently at something that they are good at, they keep getting better at it, they will find a way to monetize their talent sooner than later, and that will lead them to their financial freedom.
Absolutely. Manish, another anecdote I'd like to share here is a friend of mine keeps saying that as far as finances are concerned, he keeps saying that he must do something to beat the average investor. So for
Hmm.
that, he's constantly trying to time the market. He's constantly trying to time debt cycles as well. And personally, I find that very difficult. I find that maybe it is impossible or maybe it is too difficult for me. That's not the point. But what I always tell him is that, as you said, it's not about being extraordinarily smart. What I keep telling him is that as long as you're just continuing your basic SIPs into whatever mutual funds or whatever you are doing, that is enough to beat the average person. If you can just do that consistently, that is more than enough to take you to your goals. But
I
in the, as you said,
Mhm.
it's just getting through those motivational messages flooding at us through everywhere. We have developed this mindset that we need to do something more than that. But actually, it's maybe psychologically challenging, but the process is simple enough.
More than the psychologically challenging aspect, what happens is we tend to compare our portfolios and we tend to be impatient. What the kind of experiences I have had with my family, friends, people who I have consulted, what happens is one bad cycle in the market and they want to liquidate. One
Right.
massive breakout in their portfolio and they want to liquidate and they want to buy a new car, or they just want to ease off their personal loan EMIs, which they should not have purchased in the first place. So the idea is I look at investment as money that I've already spent. My portfolio is going to be given to me. Access of my portfolio has been given to me only in two circumstances. One is in an unforeseen emergency, which comes with a very big money requirement, which hopefully, touchwood, nobody sees. And second is when I choose to call it retirement. Now I'm not going to be actively working for my money anymore. So my portfolio is strong enough to sustain my regular expenses even without me having to take money out of my portfolio, but just use my dividends and interest and rental incomes to pay for my lifestyle.
I think that is the most powerful statement that you can take away, that everybody can, including me, can take away from Manish today, is that the money that you put in your investments, consider it money already spent. If you keep thinking about how you can withdraw that investment for your regular expenses, there is no way it will grow large enough to actually make a huge difference in your life. So even if you have to cut down on your expenses, do that, but your investments are money spent. And as you said, the best possible time to take that out would be your retirement, so-called retirement.
So that is actually the challenging aspect. It's not about finding the best mutual fund or finding an equity share which is going to become a multi-bagger 3 years, 3 quarters, or 3 decades down the line. It's about you having the discipline to take 30% out of your paycheck every month without fail, putting it down in your pre-decided SIPs or equity funds or whatever you choose, depending on your age, depending on your risk capacity, and depending on the kind of goals that you have, and whatever advisor or your coach is helping you with. Put your money down in those areas. Keep monitoring your portfolio every 6 months. That is absolutely needed. But then forget about it. Unless and until some particular equity stock or mutual fund is on fire and it's making you lose a lot of money compared to the indices. When I say a lot of money, I would say 3 to 4% below the indices growth in that time period. Only then you take your money out. Otherwise, just let it be, because fluctuations are a part of the market. And I am extremely sorry to any of the 35 odd participants. If you did not understand the language that I used in the last 30 seconds, you definitely need somebody to help you with your financial literacy.
Absolutely. And just one small point I would add here. Even if you find a particular investment, mutual fund or whatever, not doing well, even then it goes from that investment to another investment only. So your investment pool remains intact. The participation distribution might change.
Correct.
Okay, so Manish, to wrap things up, I have three rapid fire questions for you. You can answer them
Okay.
rapid fire. If you want to elaborate on any of them, of course, you're most welcome to do that. So
Okay.
the first question is, today somebody comes to you and asks you, what business I should start today? What do you tell them?
Coaching, consulting, anything to do with digital businesses.
Okay, fantastic. The second rapid fire question is, what is the one thing that everybody should do for their overall personal development?
Read.
Fantastic. And last but not the least, coming back to our topic of finances, somebody asks you what is the best investment today and where they should invest all their money. What do you say?
There is not a single instrument where you should put all of your money, and the best investment potential is first to invest in yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is something. This is a message that I sent very recently on our community that, uh, of course, investment is very important, but equally important is upskilling, freelancing, asking for a hike, or whatever you can do to increase your income as well.
Correct. So what
As
happens is, see, you the all the three questions were absolutely rapid fire, which is why I answered them very, very, very quickly. But if you know that you are not the best of the best in your industry or your domain, there is a lot for you to cover upon. The first investment that you should absolutely continue doing is investing in your own learning, investing in your own personal growth, investing in your own skill set growth. So yeah.
So Manish, we are just around the 1 hour mark. So I have two final questions for you that we ask every guest before signing off. Now,
Sure.
as I told you earlier, we are a community that deeply believes in taking action, not just learning. We believe that learning can come from so many sources, but if it does not lead us to action, it will not take us anywhere.
Hmm.
So, for people who are listening to you for the first time today, what is the one small thing that they can do today before they go to sleep to turn them into individuals with mindsets that can make them truly rich?
To get the mindset to become truly rich, the first thing, see, the whole concept of becoming truly rich and changing your mindset is in itself a 10-step journey or a 5-step journey, depending on where the person is. So I cannot guarantee you that with one step you will become rich, but the one step that you should take, you absolutely must take to change your mindset is to, let's say, I would tell you, there's this video called The Strangest Secret on YouTube. You'll find many of it. Just listen to that 30-minute piece. If you don't find the link, let get in touch with me, or you can find it on my channel also. Listen to that piece. Every time I have heard that 30-minute audio piece, I have gotten more perspective, I have gotten more knowledge, I have gotten more angles to look at life, and I have always gotten more ideas on what can I do and what should my next step be. And it's not just for you to do today. I would recommend do it at least once a day if your time allows. Just The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. If you don't find it on Paycheck to Profit YouTube channel, you'll just find it everywhere. It's a very popular piece online.
I will share the link of that video from your channel with everybody, Manish. And
Thank you.
the last question from my side to you today is uh, it's actually a two-part question. First
Hmm.
is how do you think people should understand like who needs a money coach and who doesn't need a financial coach? How should
Hmm.
people identify that? And the second part of the same question is that for people who are looking forward to learn more from you, should they start from your YouTube channel or is there any other way? What is the best way to learn more from you?
Okay, great. So the first question is very easy. If you know what your net worth is, if you know what your monthly expenses are, your annual expenses are, if you know what kind of return your portfolio is giving you, if you know that you only believe in abundance, you are never worried about money, you are never stressed about money, you don't need a financial coach. But if you're somebody who is always anxious about money, if you are somebody who believes that you deserve a lot more wealth in your life, but it is not coming to you because there are some resistances in your life, or you don't know how to make the best of your abilities. If you don't know how to invest your money, if your money is being taken care of by a sibling or a spouse or some sort of a elder of your family or your house or your CA, you definitely need to be more responsible with your finances. You definitely should find yourself a coach, a mentor, or just read books or get financially literate. That is how I would simply mention it.
Okay, thank you so very much, Manish. And about the second part, how do they learn more from you?
So yeah, my YouTube channel is one of the easiest ways to know what am I doing. My YouTube and Instagram portfolios both are pay to pro. Both the profiles are always active, so you'll keep getting new information. And I would also share a link with Aditya with regards to my Profit Clan. That's a simple email community that I'm growing. So whenever I have a new video which is getting me good response or something that is really burning in today's times. Let's say when Mr. Naran Murthy says about 70 hours of work to be put in by all working professionals, what's my point of view? Does that help your money mindset? Where is Naran Murthy coming from? I just type out an email and I send it to my community. It has not been active for a while, but it is about to get really active. I will share that link with Aditya, which I hope he'll share with the community. And please do sign up for the Profit Clan community, and you'll start getting updates from me on your email.
I'll be the first person to sign up, Manish. I've loved everything that you have taught us in the last 1 hour or so. And
Thank you so much, Aditya.
thank you so much for being with us. You have honestly filled this community and this session with positivity, with your absolutely simple examples, right from where you started, from the example of what kind of car you can drive and you can't drive, and relating to what kind of finance you can handle and you can't handle. And from there, we've discussed about how we can improve our mindsets and how we can simplify our journey towards a passive income and our wealth. And my key takeaway, honestly, has been that as you very correctly said, that you don't need to be extraordinary throughout, because in the pursuit of that you might not even reach just above average. So the base case I think you should establish, everybody should establish, is that this is the least I'm doing, this will anyway take me to a very good step, and if there are some things that I can do to develop an alpha in my investments and in my life, we can pick up on that also. So thank you everyone so much for joining us today again. Again, do follow me on Fitrit Sane on Twitter and on Telegram for such enlightening conversations and daily actionable tips. I will share links to Manish's newsletter as well as to his YouTube channel and to the particular video he mentioned. Thank you so much for being with us. Stay in touch.